Clicks is a health and beauty-focused retail and supply group which has been listed on the JSE since 1996. Headquartered in Cape Town, it has over 590 stores across Southern Africa. It has a market cap of 17.3 billion rand and a price-to-earnings ratio of 18. So, like Chris is saying, it's companies that are evolving. Clicks is one of them.
Yeah, look, I mean, Clicks was in this space before, and then sometime around the 1990s, the cartel where retail individuals, persons, had to be pharmacists who had to own the store, that got broken. In advance of that, Clicks had a company called Purchase Milton Associates, which went around signing up agreements with pharmacies to buy their pharmacies prior to the change of the legislation. Unfortunately, they got in a little bit early, and shortly after they did the deal, this whole thing about the government being concerned about cracking down on overcharging at pharmacies hit the skids. So Clicks initially did quite badly, took a big write-off, but I'm talking about more than 5 years ago. Since then, they've revolutionized the brand. David Neal, the CEO, came in as a Brit who'd worked for Boots before, and they've just done well. They own Musica as well, and they've really done that whole front of store thing well. And I think, the pharmacy, in a sense, is like an afterthought. That's what brings customers in. But it's that front of store stuff where they sell everything from bath plugs to hair clippers to shampoo to toothpaste to chocolates to, magazines. That does very well.
So, Chris, what do you make of Clicks right now?
Yeah, its results this year were not that inspiring. I think the basic model is very good. As Paul says, David Neal has been at the helm now for quite some time, and I think he's made some great changes in this business. One of my concerns is the Musica side, because I think it's been saved by the fact that we have very expensive and very slow internet in this country. Once that changes and people are able to access the internet and bring down an awful lot more, I'm talking legally here, and paying a fee, I think it's going to result in many of those CDs and DVDs being largely redundant. So I see that as having a few vulnerabilities, but the rest of it, no, I think is an exceptionally well-run business.
Looking at that Musica side of things, do you see them selling it off?
Well, a couple of years ago, they tried to do a deal with MTN, where MTN would take over some of the store rentals, because in many cases they've got commitments to being in that retail space. But Chris is right. CDs still sell well in this country because Apple iTunes can't operate here because of licensing restrictions. But I understand that is sort of imminent or going to change fairly soon. So that would be a concern. They still do very well, though, in the gaming area. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people who want to spend the entire weekend playing Call of Duty or Guitar Hero. Yeah. And so that sells well because those things can't really be sold via the web because the files are too big and the piracy issues are too complex. So I think they'll continue to do well, but that's a relatively small part of Clicks. And if anything, Clicks could, expand the floor footprint, for example, on the Clicks side of things. So I'm still positive about this. That drugstore concept in America, on every second corner, if you've been to New York City, there's a drugstore, a Duane Reade or some of these other brands there. So I think this is going to continue, and it's going to be sort of destination shopping. So if anything, I see more scope for Clicks to expand. Not that they don't have competition. You mentioned Dis-Chem earlier. It's done very well, privately owned. And then the other guys we're going to talk about now, the general retailers, obviously want to be in this sort of beauty and healthcare and pharma type area as well.
They're also looking to open more stores in 2013. Your thoughts on the share price right now, Chris?
Yeah, it's perhaps a little bit on the high side, but I think it is perceived as being a defensive stock. It's in the right areas, and as Paul was saying earlier, I think the David Neal management team has done exceptionally well. I think this it actually looks good for the longer term.
Hot or not on it?
I actually like Clicks, and I say it's a hot stock.
Paul, hot or not?
The price to earnings ratio is about 23. I think they're still relatively cheap compared to some of the general retailers, which are on ratios as high as 30. These are fairly elevated levels, but I'm not too scared of that. So I'm hot still on this one too.
So two hots on Clicks.